Hey, this is Mirage, and I'm back with another Blade analysis video. Today we're looking at Durins Bane, the ninth track off Blade's latest album, Sulphur Surfer. In the past, I've described Blade as having an evil side, think albums like Working on Dying and Cold Visions, and a good side with albums such as 333, Good Luck, and Crest. Sulphur Surfer feels like a solid middle ground in terms of the themes he explores. There's still an upward aim towards peace and spiritual understanding, but the journey to get there is often a dark road filled with trials and tribulations. This interplay of good and evil reflects the Drain Gain mantra, loss and gain are the same. It tries to reconcile the idea that good and evil are intertwined, and one cannot exist without the other. It reminds me of a quote from C.S. Lewis who said, "A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line." He goes on to say, "If there were no light in the universe, and therefore no creatures with eyes, we should never have known it was dark. Dark would be without meaning." This idea is echoed in the song Ego Baby, the 10th track off of The Fool released in 2021, where Blade says, "I tried to tell them about the night, they didn't understand. I tried to show them that there's beauty and there's magic in the air. They didn't understand. There's shadow in the light. Open up your mind. There is no day without the night." This brings us to Durins Bane, where Blade says in the chorus, "I had ate so many nights I'm becoming skinny fat. Yeah, Crest." Blade has referred to eating the night in past works. If you want a more in-depth analysis of that motif, I recommend watching my previous video, which I'll link in the description. In short, Blade has explained that the night is where he engages in evil or bad activities, often using it as a metaphor for substance abuse. For example, in Close, track 7 off of Ice Dancer from 2018, he says, "Eat the night like an edible." So when Blade says he has ate so many nights that he's becoming skinny fat, he may be referring to the absurdity of consuming something without gaining anything from it. Normally, eating gives us nutrients. Paradoxically, while Blade is eating many nights, he is both gaining and losing on his quest for enlightenment or gnosis. That's why he adds the "Yeah, Crest" ad-lib. The crest, the high point of a process, can only exist because of the lows that come before it. It's also interesting that he uses Crest as an ad-lib when you watch the Durins Bane music video. In the video, Blade walks around a red house that looks very similar to the house on the Crest album cover from 2022. This is Blade's Safehouse, where he retreats from the horrors and struggles of the world. I believe it's the same Safehouse he mentions in Glue, released in 2014. If you want a more in-depth discussion of the Safehouse, check out my previous video, also linked below. With his newfound faith, symbolized by the crest, he has achieved spiritual enlightenment and peace. However, Blade still struggles with the evils of the night, so he clings to the realization that the journey to nirvana can be arduous and painful. It might involve sacrifice. This is exemplified by the lyric in Durins Bane, "Going through putrescence as I'm searching for the essence." Putrescence means rotting, so Blade is explaining that the journey to discover truth is causing him to become spiritually degraded. Now I want to pivot to the Lord of the Rings references in the song and how they relate to the Safehouse imagery. Durins Bane is the name given to the Balrog of Moria, a towering ancient demon of shadow and flame. Originally an angelic spirit, it was corrupted by the Dark Lord Morgarth. It destroyed the dwarven kingdom of Khazad-dûm and drove the dwarves out of their home. Blade often handpicks motifs that align with Drain Gang's philosophy. The dwarves being driven out of their homes mirrors Blade's own situation. Because he has ate so many nights, he is being pushed out of his spiritual home, his safe house. In the music video, he never enters the red house. He only sits outside it and walks around it with his dog. This is the essence of loss and gain. Blade identifies himself as the source of the corruption of his own safe house. He says, "Balrog whips, I take you to the abyss." Just as the Balrog was corrupted by Morgoth, Blade feels corrupted by eating so many nights. The crest becomes corrupted by extension. This is why he says, "Evil eye of the crest never rest," which could also be referring to Sauron's eye, an all-seeing, ever-watchful force in The Lord of the Rings. Blade also says, "If you keep saying my name, Terminator, I'll be back." On the surface, this is a direct reference to The Terminator, released in 1984, where "I'll be back" is a deadpan promise of a violent return. Symbolically, Blade could be saying that his darkness will always come back to overpower the good, just as the Terminator returns to kill Sarah Connor. But it can also be read the opposite way. Gandalf could have said, "I'll be back," after defeating the Balrog. He sacrificed himself like a martyr, dying for the good of his party. After a grueling 10-day battle with Durins Bane, Gandalf the Grey was resurrected as Gandalf the White, a symbol of purification. In summary, Durins Bane serves as a spiritual crossroads in Blade's artistic journey. It pulls together years of themes: his struggle between purity and corruption, the cyclical nature of loss and gain, and the idea that enlightenment only has meaning when contrasted with darkness. Eating the Night becomes a metaphor for how self-destructive habits both hinder and fuel his search for higher understanding. Even as he reaches toward the crest, his symbol of faith and clarity, he knows how easily that sanctuary can be tainted by his own actions. By weaving in references to Lord of the Rings, the Balrog, the dwarves losing their home, and even the Terminator, Blade builds a mythological framework around his eternal conflict. These aren't random pop culture nods, they're metaphors for exile, corruption, rebirth, and the return of one's own shadow self. And in the music video, the fact that he circles the safe house without entering it visually reinforces that he's close to peace, but not able to quite claim it. Ultimately, Durins Bane shows that Blade at a point where destruction and transformation blurred together. Every fall contains the seed of ascent. Just as Gandalf's battle with the Balrog leads to his rebirth, that's the essence of Drangain's mantra: loss and gain are the same. Blade is living that paradox in real time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.